And welcome, 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 church family. I am so glad that you decided to join us tonight. It's Wednesday, November 23rd. It's the Wednesday pre-Thanksgiving midweek oasis here at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. I'm so glad you decided to join us. My name is Paul Pursuti. I'll be your host tonight. So why do we call it Oasis on Wednesday nights? Because this is a place, and I say this with great heart, where we can be together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between Sundays. We present our Wednesday night services in our version, OCSL's Oakland Center's version of satsang, with the intention that our gatherings are informal, intimate, and rich. CSL has an annual theme this year, as it does every year, and it's Wonder, Wonder Everywhere. And for the month of November, it's Living Everyday Wonder, focusing on home. So this month, we explore the everyday wonder of our most familiar place, which is home. We'll be using the hero's journey as the arc of our narratives each week this month. It is potentially everyone's journey of discovery, self-mastery, and transformation. The truth of the hero's journey is that our ultimate destination is a return to the truth of who we are, spiritual beings having a human experience. When we live from that truth, we can be at home wherever we go and empower others to do the same for themselves. Also, in alignment with our November theme of home, we are celebrating American Indian Heritage Month. So if you're joining us for the first time, I see a lot of new names down there, and I'm so glad you're joining us. We welcome you. You found our homepage. We encourage you to explore it quite a bit and check out our Village News newsletter if you want to sign up for it. It has all the information on what's happening at the center in the coming week. So if you click on the I'm New icon and look at the lower left-hand corner of that page, you'll be able to submit your email address and you'll begin receiving the Thursday Village News newsletter conveniently in your email and in your inbox every week. So we ask everybody that's watching to please mute your camera or your microphone if you can do that now. That helps on the improve the quality of the transmission. And I encourage you to stay all the way through the program because we have wonderful announcements at the end to help us stay informed of what's going on here at the center. So tonight we have a very, very special event. We have a dynamic duo. Two of our practitioner students in the ACS class. From our board of directors is Maureen French and one of her co-students, Megan Lemon. And they'll be speaking on the topic of welcome to your dream home. So with that in mind, we start every one of our gatherings with prayer. And we end with prayer. So tonight, Maureen, I'm going to call you forward. If you could open us up in prayer, and then you guys, the dynamic duo, can begin.
Okay, so taking a deep breath, grounding in the oneness of all of life, letting go of all that has gone before this moment, connecting with that one power, that one presence that is creating this experience right here and right now, flowing through each and every one of us. Knowing that this power and presence breathes my breath and animates all that I do. It breathes and animates all that each one of us does. And as we come together tonight to contemplate this power, this presence, I bless our time together. I bless each one of us here tonight that is in service. And I bless the words that are being spoken. I bless the words that are being listened to and absorbed. and contemplated. And so it is.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about our dream home. Welcome to your dream home. So when we talk about spiritual principles, often we talk about your internal and your external experience. And I like to focus on definitions. So a definition that was pretty profound to me is the definition from the Bible of what love is. That love is the fulfilling of the law, which I think is perfect for science of the mind and the hero's journey. So often when we think about home, we're looking for that sense of love and belonging. And it's usually identified with a place or sometimes a person, maybe where my family is, or my mother, or my friends, or whatever I personally identify externally with my home environment. As we focused on, I tried to get us to focus on our meditation, is the energy of love, that feeling of love and the vibration of love, regardless of the external circumstances, which is definitely the walk of the hero's journey. So when I think about home, we think about the saying, home is where your heart is, and but your heart goes with you wherever you go. And it's important that for your internal hero's journey, that you're committed to that energy of love, and that you shouldn't restrict that love to a physical place or a location. So when preparing for this talk, and throughout much of our practitioner studies over the course of the last year, we focus a lot on spiritual truths and spiritual principles. And so the thing that really came to mind when thinking about building my internal home was building on these spiritual principles like blocks or bricks or even boards, knowing that I'm building who I am on the inside on spiritual principles and truth that I want to embody in my life. And I know that as I do this and embody this internally, that my external circumstances tend to shift and change and mimic what I'm focusing on internally. So the questions that I contemplate when I ask myself, am I building my internal home with gratitude and joy and abundance and love and purpose? So am I co-creating with the law and doing things consciously and cognitively for what I want to shift in my experience? I think a big thing when trying to build yourself internally is surrender. Am I surrendering to life? Am I trusting spirit and asking for guidance when I need guidance and clarity, and knowing that this external world will balance out wherever I go as I build this internal loving kindness within myself? So I found a wonderful quote in not the Science of the Mind, but Spirituality magazine, from Rabbi Rami Shapiro. So he focuses on how do we remain optimistic and build our external home and circumstances when we're faced with so many world events that can often lead us to fear or suffering, or really feeling pessimistic about life. So he states that we should remain activistic, that our job is not so much to stay in an optimistic state, but doing what we can to alleviate suffering and promote justice in the world. And in Science of the Mind, we know that suffering is a choice, but it is also a part of the human experience. And to alleviate the idea of suffering in the human experience, we must focus on the science of mind truths of turning to our spiritual principles and our spiritual truths of who we are. And in doing this, sometimes it requires us to abandon our humanly comforts, or maybe be willing to temporarily abandon your comfort in the human experience to reveal more truth or heal the fractured parts of your life so that you can explore your beliefs and your ideas and the patterns in your life that often can be dualistic with the spiritual truths we want to experience. So it's entering that paradox of spirituality, walking the hero's journey, because it's not always easy. Excuse me. So this is an Ernest Holmes quote where he focuses on receptivity. Sorry. This is a quote from Ernest, excuse me. This is a quote from Ernest Holmes on receptivity, that thoughts are things. It is impossible for you to receive that which your mind refuses to accept. You need to consciously develop the ability to mentally encompass it. So this is something we often always focus on in practitioner studies, is if you can't conceive it in your mind, if you can't develop a mental equivalent, then how do you expect for it to manifest in your life? So building your dream home and walking this hero's journey requires us to grow our consciousness and focus on the receptivity to offer us a different experience. Ernest Holmes goes on to say, as you open your consciousness to a greater receptivity of the divine, to an enlarged concept of the good that can flood your experience, life will take on a new and wonderful meaning. So as you were walking our own hero's journey and answering the call of creating a world that works for everyone, we must identify that this starts with ourselves. And one thing that I think everyone can agree on, regardless of your experience with spirituality or your religious background, is that almost every human is looking for a sense of true belonging and believing in wherever you go that you will be deeply loved and supported so that you can be and grow into your authentic self. And now I'll turn it over to Maureen.
Hey, thank you so much, Megan. That was really wonderful, and it helps to bring me to what I'm about to share. So I'm giving you a disclaimer for the folks that aren't familiar with our terms that we use sometimes. I'm going to be referring to OCSL, and OCSL is the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And we also say the center. Okay. So that's who's hosting this Zoom. So this talk is about home, and the talk title is Welcome to Your Dream Home. So I'm going to talk about basically how I came to my dream home. So there's certain terms that are used in our society, in our culture. I'm going home. Home sweet home. We're all just walking each other home. Are you home? Text me when you get home. Are you going home for the holidays? Are you going home to visit? We use the word home for many things and have many meanings for the word home. I think one of the most profound and miraculous things about home is that the meaning of home changes over time, and that what makes a home is different for everybody. You know how we are now referring to our lives as pre-pandemic and post-pandemic? Well, my life can be divided as pre-OCSL and post-OCSL in terms of what it means to me, what home means to me. Let me explain. Pre-OCSL, I thought of a home as a physical place to go back to, a brick and mortar house that is a shelter from the elements, a place to put my things, to cook and to sleep. Although that is still true for my understanding of what home can mean, post OCSL, I have deepened my understanding of what home means to me. And it has been a process, and it continues to expand. Through spiritual practice, classes, services, prayer, meditation, etc., home has now taken on a macrocosmic meaning for me. I do think that there are some general terms that can be referred to when referring to home, especially when you start asking folks that attend OCSL what they felt like when they first came to the center. Many, like me, maybe some of you are on this call, have mentioned the feeling of finding one's home when first coming to OCSL. That is exactly how I felt when I came to my first time at OCSL. I felt like I was home. And so that got me thinking when I was preparing this talk, well, what is it that I felt when I first came to OCSL that made me feel like I was home? Well, it was a feeling. It was a felt sense. It was more than a feeling. It was a knowing. It was a deep felt sense of knowing that had no words to really describe it. I just knew. I knew I belonged, and that I was seen through the eyes of God with anyone I encountered there. I was hugged by God with anyone I hugged that day. I was loved. I was safe. I felt it, and I wanted more. I kept coming back, and from then on, my idea of home opened up to another level, and it's still expanding. This newfound feeling of home didn't come without its rough edges. There were parts I wasn't open to at first, like going for prayer after service. We call it going to the upper room for a 3-minute miracle. I definitely was on the fence about that one. I had strange ideas of what prayer meant. And I knew of it as like, please God, bring me this. Please God, help me with that. Beseeching God, please forgive me for all the bad stuff that I did. And so I had some reservations about going to get a prayer. It took some time getting used to, getting comfortable with the love that I felt when I went to OCSL, that was being given freely and poured outward towards me. It was foreign and it felt strange. Yet I longed for this love and I felt safe. It was that internal dialogue that kept me from opening up to going for a prayer. I was scared. I was scared of being hurt, ridiculed, doing it wrong, being made fun of, like my original home had instilled in me. After months of coming on Sundays, crying, cleansing tears throughout these services, I finally felt comfortable within myself to get a prayer. It was strange. It felt a little strange. I didn't quite know what to expect, but I could feel something when I was being prayed for. I felt the vibration, the energy, the affirmative words that were being spoken about me, for me. It kept me coming back for more. It filled me up. And like clockwork, I was going for prayer after every service. I needed the love that was being given out for free, just for being there. At times, I felt selfish for asking for prayer about me. I even asked the practitioner, like, is it okay for me to be continually asking for prayer just about me? They said, well, yeah, it's okay to ask for prayer about you. Why? Because it starts with you. It starts within you. So yes, getting prayer for yourself, asking for prayer for yourself is not negative. It's giving yourself what you need to fill you up. And I was getting filled up. Over time, I gradually was being healed, becoming more receptive to the feelings of love and acceptance, what it really feels like. To the receiving of love I didn't know I needed until I found my way there to OCSL. I knew I needed something, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't have a vocabulary for it. That is where I found my mental equivalent of love that I was seeking. I didn't know it was love. I didn't know it was acceptance, but I sure felt it. It was a craving for a home in my life, that deep sense of knowing you belong and you are special no matter what. And I started discovering my home when I entered OCSL. That home that OCSL allowed me to see, feel, hear, and taste was what helped me to move my feeling of home from outward, outside of me, to inside of me. I was able to open to the possibility of having this feeling travel with me rather than just when I was at the center listening to service or getting a prayer. Having this love reflected back to me just because made me feel a safety I had never felt before. Opening up in this way spiritually, my truth was being reflected back to me, being looked at by others through the eyes of God, learning that love is within me and learning how to hold it and embrace that truth after years of degradation, fear, and false beliefs. My sense of home is now within me. I carry it wherever I go. That sense has been revealed to be within me. It has been within me the whole time. Home. I was healed through prayer, attending classes, services, and events. I was healed by this community, the people in the community, the love and light of the one power that flows through each and every one of them, and that flows through me. And it was seen, it was reflected back to me. I was opened up and receptive to the possibility that that love exists. How do I know I have been healed in this way? Well, there have been some really challenging times when I didn't feel at home. One that comes to mind is I was traveling in India. And after being there for 2 weeks, I began to feel depressed and like I didn't have a home. I was homesick and felt disconnected, uncomfortable, and alone. Nothing was outwardly wrong. I was fed, clothed, warm, and I had money. I had friends there too. It was a feeling within me, a longing for that home, for belonging, that wanting this groundedness, this importance of who I was, the significance and meaning. This was pre-OCSL. And through support, consistency, and receptivity, I have since been equipped with tools and spiritual practices that center me, keep me grounded no matter where I choose to go. It could be in space, it could be here on earth. I now have a deep sense of belonging and know that wherever I am physically, I am in God's house and I'm always welcome. The topic of home being around the holidays is no accident. For me, the home that I once thought was home is no longer. Ever since I came to OCSL, I have come to understand what home means to me. I have learned from contemplating the oneness of all of life that my home is within. And as Ernest Holmes says, there is an aspect of our being that has never been hurt, harmed, or hindered. That is my home. I have the Most High within me, a 24/7 hotline to God. That is home. That deep knowing that I felt when I first walked into OCSL was of me experiencing and embodying a higher consciousness of love for the very first time. I finally have words to describe it. I experienced the embodiment of love, acceptance, truth, and understanding. It allowed me to believe that there was more out there, more love, more comfort. I was able to feel what my inner home can feel like through others modeling and reflecting love back to me. I was able to uncover it within myself, to connect with the power within. I refer back to this feeling often. It is a beacon for me. It reminds me of what it feels like to be home. How do you get that feeling of home within? Well, it's a unique process, and no one path to home will ever be the same for anyone else. That, to me, can be frustrating because we just want the top 10 ways to find home. Well, there is top 10 ways, but it's your unique top 10 ways, and you have to find it. We can be inspired by someone's journey to find their home, but it will never be a one-size-fits-all standard size. That is not how the law works. The law is varied and creative. There is a direct blueprint of perfection for each one of us, and there are the co-creative variations that come from that, and we get to co-create with that perfection. And so for me, the more I expand my consciousness by contemplating and recognizing the one power, just as everyone, every human wants to be seen, heard, and understood, we all want to be seen, heard, and understood. Why do kids act out? Because they want to be seen, heard, and understood. Why do adults act out? Because they want to be seen, heard, and understood. I do too. So does spirit. That is what spirit needs in order to come forth within you. By contemplating and recognizing the one power, by seeing the one power, hearing the one power, and understanding the one power. That is what spirit needs in order to come forth within you. The more I revel in God and the trees, animals, stars, moon, the fact that we have gravity, and the chaos. Let's not forget the chaos. The more I feel at home. And I am beyond grateful. The eve before Thanksgiving, I am beyond grateful to be able to call OCSL my spiritual home, and you all my spiritual family. Blessed be. So we have a question for you all. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to open it up for discussion. What I would like to do is to say the question and then have 30 seconds of silence, just so the introverts can gather their thoughts. And then we can open it up for discussion. Megan and I look forward to hearing what you all have to say about this question and any other comments that you may have. So the question to ponder is, how are you growing your receptivity and your internal home? So go ahead and take a couple minutes of silence, not a couple minutes, a couple seconds. Okay. So I don't know, Paul, Peter.
I'll help you out here. So first of all, thank you guys, or ladies, or fellow spiritual beings. Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm going to refer folks to the chat. We'll have a few, about 17 minutes or so to discuss your interpretation and response to their inquiry, which is, how are you growing your receptivity and your internal home? So if you'd all like to go to gallery view and turn on your camera and microphone, and if you wish to speak, there's a couple of ways to get Peter's attention to recognize you, because Peter will be our moderator. You can turn your camera on and raise your hand like so, or you can use the reaction button down below and raise your hand like this. And Peter will keep us orderly during this time going forward. Thank you, Peter.
Constance, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say thank you to both of you. And Megan, I'm sorry I missed the very beginning part of your talk. I got home late tonight, and all of a sudden I was sitting here having finished my dinner, and I looked at the time and went, oh my God, I'm missing the thing. So I got on. Anyway, so I'm glad I was here. But it's interesting because today, this was the day that I actually did I followed my path. And one of the ways that I find more home within, that to me, it's sort of like a treasure hunt. That when I find things that, particularly when I get feelings that are coming up and I'm going, this is something, then I will go and I'll go back to my practitioner and work on it. And that's what happened. I've been taking the Manifest More Money class again. And there was a discussion going on, and I was having this emotional feeling, and I could identify what it was, but it was sort of free floating. It wasn't really attached to anything. So I decided so I went in and with my practitioner, because I've been doing this a long time now, that it's much easier to get to what I need to get to. It used to be battling through dark mud to get there, but now it's pretty easy. But I wouldn't say easy, but quicker. And so I actually came to an understanding of something that keeps me away from being at home. And that, to me, that's the beginning thing, is that once I understand what's keeping me away, then I can work towards being at home. And so for me, that's part of my process. And now I can take that into prayer. I'll take that into meditation. And I'll just take it into watching myself and how I'm reacting to things and how I can shift that. Because, you know, it's one of those things that the more often I can shift it and be in the feeling of being in with myself, and being at home with myself, the easier it is to be at home with myself. Whereas if I let myself go down that rabbit hole of feeling alienated from myself or beating myself up, or, you know, and I'm not talking about spiritual bypass because that's easy enough to do, like, oh no, it didn't bother me, you know. But when I'm actually allowing myself to actually feel the wholeness of who I am for any length of time, then it's easier to feel it the next time. So that for me is sort of how I'm doing it. So thank you for bringing that up. It was a very rich topic.
Thank you. Yeah, I like how you commented, like, it's not always easy. It's true.
Yeah.
It's not always easy. Anybody else? Allie raised her hand,
I'll go.
or Natalie too.
Oh, I loved listening to both of you. It was just really great. Can't wait to be practitioners with y'all. I like that, you know, the whole thing with the hero's journey. It's like there's this whole journey, and in a sense, you end up back where you started, which I think both of you kind of alluded to that. When I think about how do I grow this, I loved what you said, Maureen, about spirit wants to be seen and heard and understood. What it brought up for me was like, well, yeah, I mean, it's a relationship. We forget that, you know, in any relationship, we get back what we invest, right? And a phrase that's really settled into me somehow lately is that idea of, am I drawing closer to spirit? You know, am I drawing closer to spirit, not waiting for, you know, spirit to come? And that Bible verse that came up, that God's standing outside the door and knocking and waiting for us to open it. You know, so as I got into prac class and got more regular about spiritual practice, like, because I had to do it every day. Yeah, for me, it was investing that time and having it be something you did every day, which is what we do with our close relationships, right? You don't have a partner and kind of go off for a few weeks and come back. You know? You're consistent and regular. And as I've done that in prac class and ministerial school, it's like, that has made all the difference, that making sure that every day, and that's become an everyday all through the day, trying to ask myself, am I growing closer to spirit? Am I pulling spirit in? Am I, you know, aligning? So yeah, so there was, I don't know, again, there was just something so touching when you said spirit wants to be seen and heard, understood. It's like, oh. So that's all. Thank y'all again.
Thanks, Ellie.
Thank you.
Natalie, go ahead.
So this is obviously my first time coming to this meeting. I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry if it's a meeting or service. I'm not sure. I'm here to support Megan, she's my friend. And I really truly enjoyed listening to what both Megan and Maureen had to say. And maybe my perspective is a little bit less experienced in terms of, is it OCSL? Is that what it is? Okay. Yes. So, but I do love the question of receptivity and the internal home. Megan and I are nurses, and I feel like at work, we oftentimes, you can really get stuck in the negative aspects of like the healthcare system and how broken it is sometimes. And you want to be of service to your patients, and like you want to bring some kind of positivity to them. And so you have to, tonight, listening to what you both had to say reminded me of like, I need to be spiritually and mentally positive regardless of how the system is, so that I can bring, you know, that good energy and service to my patients with a nice, not a nice, but like I'm probably overusing this word, but like in a positive way. And so it starts from within. So I can't just, it's so easy to get stuck in like, oh, there's these problems in society all over the place. And it just brings you down, and inside you're not really like feeding good things to yourself, to your mind. And I guess what Megan was talking about, how like you'll create a shift either way, like whether you're thinking negatively, you're going to start shifting your life in a negative manner. And if you start stopping and taking a breath and maybe like appreciating all the little things, like today I was just outside kicking the ball in the backyard with my kids and my husband, and I was cracking up, and that just like filled my soul. And I think if I just focus on the being appreciative of those moments more than, you know, those freaking shootings in Colorado that happened, you know, like that, and just getting so entrenched into those emotional and very, very sad and very, very, very valid moments, you know, obviously respecting that, but then also just taking time to appreciate the day-to-day moments, so that internally you're creating your home that you would ideally like to see in the world. And then you can start projecting that out into the world. So I really like this question. It was a really great listening. I have no idea what I'm saying, but I just feel like
That's great, Natalie. Thank you.
So thank you for having me here. Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
I think you bring up some really good points about, you know, how, like you're saying, you know, when you're out in the world, you're seeing these things that aren't necessarily in alignment with what's positive, right? But you're right. You want to create your space, your reality, your whatever it is, right? Regardless of what's going on out there. So I think you did a great job of sharing. Thank you so much. And Allie, I mean, for what you mentioned was about the relationship, I needed to be mindful of the time about how much I was sharing. But that's kind of where I went with it, was, you know, it is a relationship with spirit. And the more you contemplate, the more you recognize that is what's going on, right? That's what's going on, is spirit is moving, growing, expanding, and doing all sorts of good stuff. And so if you recognize that and talk to it and, you know, cultivate that, you're going to find more of that wherever you go. So that's another thing, Natalie, basically what you just said, is the more you look for good things and see the positive, see spirit in things, the more you're going to see of that.
Yes, and I mean, healthcare is its very own unique world, and I think when you respond in love and kindness to patients, they usually mirror it back. Even the most difficult patients, you'll receive some type of blessing from that interaction. And, you know, it is challenging, but it's seeing the God in everyone as well, not just the situation, but the person, regardless of the circumstance of how they present themselves.
Krista and partner.
It's actually going to be and partner that'll be speaking, but his name is Barry.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. I just wanted to say I really feel I really appreciate you putting on a Wednesday evening program like this. And Maureen, I only know a bit of your story, but I really appreciated you speaking, and you were such a good speaker. Thanks for helping us through this. I just feel like you know, the divine or spirit is always found in relationship. Sometimes I don't know myself until I recognize I'm in a relationship with somebody, whether that's, you know, a person you talk to at checkout line or with your partner. And so I'm glad that we were all together like this, because then we we find out a little bit more about ourselves and what we're related to, or how we all relate in that spirit. So thanks.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Anybody else? How are you growing your receptivity in your internal home? Anyone? That's okay.
Ellie,
Okay.
go ahead.
Well, while people are thinking, I'm going to bring back the spirit of Reverend Jeff, who mentioned in class that he made a point of calling by name the people who helped him. You mentioned grocery clerks, you know, the baristas and everything. I started doing that pre-pandemic, and it was really wonderful. It's like pretty soon I had a collection of barista friends. I knew where they were going to school and what their majors were and where they hoped to transfer to and when their moms were sick. And it just brought so much richness to my life. It just had, there were people I saw every day, but before I didn't know them, I didn't talk to them, and it just made such a huge difference. Again, they're seeing God in everyone, that, you know, by cultivating that relationship, drawing closer to spirit, putting yourself into it, you know. That's all.
Thanks. Okay, Paul.
Yeah, I'd like to go. Thank you, Allie, for bringing in the spirit of Reverend Jeff. Natalie, I was really impressed with your share, because you're more, OCSL is for Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, and we're one of many churches under the Centers for Spiritual Living umbrella, and we're known as religious scientists, just for a little clarity there. And you, my friend, have a lot more in alignment of a religious scientist than you think by your share. Because I'm going to bring in Reverend Jeff a little bit. He taught me a spiritual practice, and all of us that were under his tutelage. And he said, think about doing these 3 things every day. And Barry brought it up. Krista exemplifies this all the time. You're very special, Krista, to me. We have a connection, and that's the important part, is this connection. And Barry, you're right about the relationship, having a relationship, but if the channel is blocked, then nothing happens, right? So the way to unblock that and to create a connection, he said, find something to appreciate. Just one thing every day, just something to appreciate. Natalie, you found something to appreciate in the backyard. Then he said, recognize something beautiful to you. And you mentioned that. And then conduct a single act of kindness. And those 3 things combined together opens that flow of receptivity. You recognize it in yourself first, just like Maureen said, and just like Megan said. You know, Megan helped me out on this. She said the fulfilling of the law is what love is, right? I believe you said that. And this is fulfilling of that law of receptivity, of connectivity. And just by doing one or all 3 of those things, it opens up my heart, it opens up my mind, it opens up my spirit and my soul to recognize things externally that I'm missing. And then I can bring them in and receive it. So that's what I use, is what Reverend Jeff taught me. But Natalie, you're already doing it. You just don't have it in a box or a container or a book or a CD or this event, which you can go back and watch on our YouTube channel to rehear it again.
I think it was just relatable. Today was a good day, and today's message was just relatable. But most days it's like I'm not stopping to smell the roses. I gotta be honest. But today was a good day, and I'm happy I'm here today.
So I hearken Reverend Jeff's spiritual practice. I've adopted it, and I often find myself almost doing it naturally, because I've made it a practice that's becomes a habit, and it becomes a way of life for me. And it has really helped me improve my internal home situation. I hope that answers that. We're up on our time for sharing. Is there anyone else with a burning share that they need to do at this time? Okay, so we're going to move on in our program, and I believe what's up next is, first of all, let's thank Megan and Maureen. Show your appreciation, clapping or waving or saying something in chat. You guys check out the chat. I know there's a little bit of conversation going on there. So yes, thank you guys. So we have some announcements for you, some things that are important that we feel like we would like you to know. Here we go. Thank you, Helene. So this Sunday, November 27th, practitioner and ministerial student Lucian Baker will be finishing the November theme of home by speaking on the same subject you heard tonight. Welcome to your dream home. Now, if you're here for the first time with us, I encourage you to visit us on Sunday, either in person or on our YouTube channel on the website, where we will be streaming live, because one of the most dynamic speakers that live in our home here at the Oakland Center is this fantastic person, Lucian Baker. Always, always, always lifts us up and reminds us of the truth. So we know it's going to be a dynamic event. So be here or tune in, as Constance tells me to say. So please join us in person with meditation at 10 a.m. and the service at 10:30. We also stream our Sunday service live and directly to YouTube, and the link is on the homepage of our website if you choose to watch the service from home. It's actually on the services icon. That's where it resides, so just check on that. Next Wednesday, November 30th, practitioner Christopher Brown and Bella, and you'll have to come to see next Wednesday night's Oasis service to see who Bella is, and they will present ideas on focusing on gratitude. Our meditation is at 6:30 and the service is at 7, and our Wednesday night services will remain on Zoom. Our new senior minister, Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman, will have her first day at the Oakland Center on Monday, November 28th. We welcome her. We're excited for her to join us. Her first Sunday speaking will be December 11th. So let's give her a warm welcome by giving her the spaciousness to settle in. Let's also give her a warm welcome by giving her a budget she can grow with. Pledge cards were mailed out last week and part of this week. So return your card or complete it online and join the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living's Prosperity Galaxy. Our rocket is taking off. Make sure you're on board. Once you've pledged, get your star from the check-in desk in the sanctuary foyer on Sunday and add it to the galaxy that is on display in the sanctuary. The more stars we have, the brighter our 2023 financial future will be. To fill in the online form, click the donate icon on the homepage of our website to be taken into the pledge campaign. Right now, we have 56 pledges and we're at $147,000 towards our ultimate goal. It's almost Thanksgiving, which means it's Plaid Weekend at the Oakland Center Spiritual Treasure Bookstore. Shop the sales, the gifts, the treasures you just now found out you can't live without. Plaid Weekend starts on Friday and Saturday of this week, the 25th and 26th, and our bookstore will be open from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. both Friday and Saturday. And on Sunday, we'll have extended hours until 2 p.m. The more you buy, the more you save. Now, Linda Wyman, our bookstore administrator, has come up with this simple and interesting way to save. If you buy 2 items above $5, you'll get 20% off. 3 items above $5, you'll get 30% off. 4 items above $5, 40% off. And 5 or more items over $5, 50% off. You could knock out a lot of your Christmas shopping right here at the Oakland Center's bookstore. Join us. Once you've finished all your holiday shopping at that bookstore, tune into the open forum on Friday, December 2nd at 6:30 p.m. by Zoom. Now, our open forum is devised to have an open line of communication, that receiving I talked about, and giving, receptivity between the folks that run the business, that lead the ecclesiastical arm of the church, and the business arm of the church, the facilities. They'll be all making presentations to keep the congregation informed, and we'll be taking questions and answering them as you present them. So please join us at our open forum, December 2nd at 6:30. This will be Reverend Sunshine's inaugural forum, so join in. Information in the Zoom link is on our events page. And as always, for information on all that is going on at Oakland Center, please visit our website, www.oaklandcsl.org. That's where you're at. Be sure to check our events page. Don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And if you're not receiving it already, you can sign up for our weekly newsletter, Thursday Village News, by clicking on the I'm New icon on the homepage and on our website, and you will see the sign up area on that page. So last week I announced a major announcement on Wednesday night that I will be giving up my leadership roles here at the center. One of them is Wednesday night. And the reason I'm doing that is because I need to have some medical work done in the month of December, and I don't know where that will be going. So I'm kind of releasing so that I can give myself the space I need to take care of this situation. The situation won't allow me to participate physically at the center, and I don't know for how long. So in giving up some of those roles, one of them is being your host on Wednesday night. It saddens me to do it, but I'm thrilled because I'm happy to announce the person that will be replacing me as your host, and that's our very own Reverend Sally Bartholomew. So I know I'm passing the torch into beautiful, loving, open arms, and I'm grateful. You'll see her a little bit tonight, and you'll see her next week. Next week will be my last night as your host. One thing I do want to ask the community, if you can find space to volunteer in any of the many arenas that we have here at the center, in the bookstore and in the garden area, helping out with the practitioners and anything they need, or Sunday service, or sitting at the front desk checking people in. But I kind of need something. And one thing that is so critical here at Oakland Center, and I'm getting dead dog serious, if coffee ain't ready by 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings, there will be a revolt going on. That beautiful background you see behind me will be full of very negative energy. So I have 2 wonderful folks that have stepped forward. And if the calling is heard and you feel like you want to move forward and serve at the center, we're looking for more volunteers to help with our Sunday fellowship hospitality and to help avoid the revolt. Okay. So if you like people and you like making coffee and tea and cleaning it all up when it's over, please get in contact with me or Constance, and she'll connect you with the right folks. So with all of those announcements, one thing is for sure. I am very grateful for all of the speakers that come forward here on Wednesday nights. This was a vision of Reverend Jeff's and carried on by Reverend Jerry, while she's been leading us. I'm so very, very grateful. So in the spirit of gratefulness, it is Thanksgiving night. I want to move into the offering stage of our program tonight. So we talked about receptivity and the cycle of it and how it works. So whatever your gift is for the center, whether it's time or treasure or talent, all are equally welcome here at the center. Just hold that close to your heart for a moment and embody that and know that you're giving a piece of yourself to the center that is your home. You're investing in your home, and we're grateful to receive it. So hold that close to your heart and follow along as I read our giving affirmation. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies this offering. It blesses all that I am, all that I give, and all that I circulate. Thank you, love, as me. So how can you give at the Oakland Center? I'm speaking in a financial state of mind, kind of like a New York state of mind, being that bold. And it's on the donate icon on our website. And once you arrive there, you can use a credit card. We have our address if you'd like to mail something in. Also, you can use Zelle, or you can use texting now as a service available to donate here at the center. Or you can join us on Sunday at service and use the offering basket, which always welcomes those nice little envelopes. So thank you all in a spirit of Thanksgiving tonight. I'm so very, very grateful to be your host and to be invited to do this for almost pretty close to 5 years now. I want to thank Maureen and Megan for both the meditation and the opening and closing prayers, but particularly their heartfelt message tonight. Thank you guys so very, very much. I also want to thank some folks that are in the house that are special. It's always great when Reverend Sally is here. So thank you, Reverend Sally. Reverend Jerry almost always is here. Thank you, Reverend Jerry, for giving us this platform on Wednesday nights. And I want to recognize Reverend D. Jacqueline is in the house. And her second place, no, the long distance award winner tonight, joining us kind of after her long flight from New Jersey. So yay, Chase, for being our long distance winner representing the great state of New Jersey tonight. I want to thank our Zoom team. Speaking of long distance, Peter up in Portland, Helene, Sabrina, and Alice, they make this show run, and I'm so very, very grateful. I also want to thank Constance Chapman, our administrator, for all the background work she does, and Reverend Jerry to make sure we have everything that we need. I want to thank also Zoe DeMuro. He keeps me in check. So I'm very, very grateful for all of these people. So in the spirit of gratitude, we're closing our event, and we only close it the same way we open it, and that's prayer. And tonight that will be delivered by Megan. Megan, I turn it over to you.
Right, thank you. And thank you everyone for coming tonight, our first Wednesday night service, and supporting us and sharing with us in this message. So we can just take a deep, deep anchoring breath and letting it go. And recognizing that there is only one life. That life is within me, having its experience as me, Megan, and knowing that this truth that is the truth of who I am is true for every being and every person on this planet, every person who came to this call, and every person who we may meet in our experience. So I give thanks. I give thanks for this time together, the energy, the love, and the wisdom that we shared as one community. And I simply bless everyone on their way to whatever is next. I bless you on your Thanksgiving or holiday travels or celebration, knowing that it is all in this one existence of the divine lovingness of God. And I simply let it go and let God, and anchor this truth by saying, and so it is. Amen.
And so it is.